legislatively?
I'm a co-sponsor of legislation to do just that, so it's proactive legislation to say let's ensure these are codified. In other words, not something that a president could change. Because
just put them into law.
Put them into law, codified, because Russia has clearly violated international law. Their dangerous acts, including taking of Crimea, and what they're doing even today on the eastern border of Ukraine, are the reason for these sanctions. To relieve these sanctions without getting at that underlying cause would be a huge mistake. By the way, a huge mistake for American foreign policy, too, setting a precedent that when sanctions are put in place, they can be relieved, perhaps for other reasons. So I would strongly urge the administration not to move forward with removing those sanctions until the reasons those sanctions were put in place are resolved.
And as you know, on Friday, when British Prime Minister Theresa May was here in the United States, she said what you just said. Mm-hmm. Those sanctions can't be lifted until Russia resolves what they have done in Ukraine, not to mention other things they've done in other places.
Yeah, in
Georgia,
Crimea.
Syria, Crimea, et cetera. Well, I'm counting Crimea as Ukraine.
Thank you.
But President Trump seems to be more ambivalent and have a more open mind about it. Obviously, every president comes to office thinking, we're going to have a better relationship with Russia. George W. Bush did it, Barack Obama did it, but this seems to be something else. Because he's never even said one critical word of Vladimir Putin as a candidate or as a president. Do you have any insight as to why that is?
Well, look, I just saw his statement earlier on your program where he said, I hope to have a better relationship with Russia. It will be in our national interests. That may happen. It may not happen. I think that's about the right attitude. I mean, look, we all would like to see a better relationship with a country that has this arsenal of nuclear weapons and has, so much influence around the world. And we do have common enemies, including ISIS, that we should be working on together. But the fact is, Russia continues to take actions, whether it's on the eastern border of Ukraine or whether it's Crimea or what they've done in Syria or other things in terms of human rights that are not consistent with our national security. We need to stand up and we need to ensure that we're not sending the wrong message to our allies and to our adversaries.
So you already have this legislation and you're going to put it forward. What if it passes the House and the Senate and then President Trump vetoes it? Will you push for an override of the veto?
Yes, of course. I mean, if it's legislation that I agree with, of course we would. And I think there's a good chance we could have this legislation be bipartisan in the Senate.